The council chambers were a cathedral of glass and steel, suspended high above the floating spires of Terra Prime. Light refracted through crystalline windows, painting the councilors' faces with shards of cold judgment. From this height, the humans below appeared as ants small, fragile, easily controlled. That was exactly what the council believed they had achieved. Marcus Veron stood outside the chamber, shoulders hunched against the wind, whipping through the plaza. The announcement had come today. All Terran military technology, every plasma rifle, every orbital defense array, every experimental weapon was to be dismantled or destroyed. The Council had outlawed human weapons, entire fleets, entire arsenals, neutralized with a single stroke of a decree. For 3 centuries, humanity had endured war, famine, plague, and alien conquest. And now, by law, it would enter a new era of disarmament. Marcus's jaw clenched beneath the dust-streaked mask he had worn since dawn. He had watched Earth's colonies rise and fall like candle flames in a storm. And he had seen the spark of human will, fragile but unbreakable, survive even the deadliest of cosmic winters. The Council thought they could snuff that spark. They had never known humans well. "Marcus," a voice whispered behind him. He turned, catching the edge of the shadowed corridor. It was Yolan, a young engineer from the orbital labs. His eyes were wide, nerves exposed beneath the glow of the city below. "They really mean it. Every prototype, every defensive system, everything we've built for decades, gone." Marcus didn't answer immediately. He gazed down at the city, where thousands of workers and civilians scurried like clockwork mechanisms, unaware of the looming decree. Even if they tried to enforce it perfectly, Marcus knew humanity's ingenuity was never in the weapons themselves. It was in the people who built, adapted, and dreamed. The Council could ban rifles and drones, but they could not ban thought, creativity, or courage. "Yalan," he said finally, voice low, measured. "They think they're winning before the first shot is fired." But the Council always underestimates desperation. He let the words hang in the chill air, heavy with meaning and desperation. Has a way of teaching survival that obedience never can. Inside the chamber, the Council convened.
Ow.
Their discussion was clinical, almost ritualistic. They spoke of security protocols, deterrence ratios, and the ethics of universal disarmament. Every argument was a calculated effort to justify control. Humanity, in their minds, was a virus in the cosmic order, predictable in its destructiveness, controllable in its submission. Marcus had watched this arrogance for years. He'd seen counselors smile at reports of human ingenuity gone wrong, as if creativity itself were a contagion. They didn't understand. They couldn't. Meanwhile, in hidden laboratories beneath the city, men and women like Marcus moved quietly, hearts pounding with adrenaline and fear. The Solar Whisper project, an orbital energy array designed not for conquest but for survival, was already nearing activation. Most humans did not know of it. It had been built in secret, piece by piece, during the decades of disarmament. Its power unimaginable, its existence a quiet rebellion. Marcus had signed the blueprints in blood and oath. Every calculation was an act of faith in human potential and resilience. He walked down a narrow maintenance tunnel, fluorescent lights humming overhead. His steps echoed a metronome of defiance. He reached the console and tapped a sequence into the interface, revealing schematics of the Solar Whisper's core. Yalan hovered beside him, eyes tracing the diagrams with awe. Marcus smiled, not for pride, but for resolve. "The stars themselves will remember who we are," he said softly. "Not because of firepower, not because of fleets, but because we refuse to be silenced." Above them, the city was calm. Below, the Council's agents patrolled with precision, convinced the humans were now docile. They did not notice the faint hum of reactors hidden beneath Terra Prime's crust, the whispered flow of energy coursing through the secret tunnels. They could not see the pulse of ingenuity beating in every human heart, the kind that had survived extinction, invasion, and betrayal, that had learned to thrive in chaos. Marcus sat before the console, fingers hovering over the activation sequence. He knew the cost of failure. If discovered, the penalty was execution. But the cost of submission of obedience was far greater. It would mean the end of human defiance, the surrender of ingenuity to the cold arithmetic of interstellar bureaucracy. He could not, would not, allow that. And in the quietest moments, when he closed his eyes, Marcus felt it. A presence not seen, not spoken, but undeniable, a subtle hand-guiding, a whisper in the silence that suggested survival was not luck. It was intention, purpose. He had no words for it. Some called it faith, others called it instinct. Marcus simply called it certainty. A sudden alarm blared from the city's sensors. A routine check, but Marcus did not flinch. This was normal. The city's nervous machinery stirred at the slightest anomaly. Yet his hand instinctively tightened over the console. He imagined briefly the council staring down at the human race, confident in its rules and laws, unaware that every law could be bent, every rule circumvented, every weapon reinvented in shadow. Yalin spoke, voice shaking. They're coming for the prototype. They know something is different. Marcus glanced at him, expression hardening. Let them come, he said. They'll see only what we allow them to see. His words carried no threat, only inevitability. And in that inevitability was courage. The courage of humans who had endured millennia of cosmic cruelty and never surrendered their spark. The first step was always the hardest. Marcus pressed a final command into the interface, initiating a silent startup sequence of the Solar Whisper. Lights flickered along the walls, barely noticeable, yet significant. The project was alive. Humanity's secret defiance was awake. It waited, dormant but potent, a reminder that no council, no law, no edict could cage human ingenuity. He exhaled, leaning back against the cold metal wall, letting the weight of the moment settle. Outside, the city continued its dance of order and obedience, unaware that beneath its foundations, the heartbeat of rebellion had begun. Somewhere deep in the tunnels, other engineers watched their screens, fingers poised. Every one of them knew the unspoken truth. The council had underestimated humanity. They always did. Marcus allowed himself a small smile, a spark of pride. Perhaps. More likely, the quiet joy of defiance, pure, untainted, human. It was fragile, it was dangerous, and it was magnificent. And somewhere in the shadows, beyond the council's reach, the Solar Whisper hummed a promise. A promise that humanity, even when disarmed, could ignite the stars. And as the first star glimmered above the city, Marcus whispered to himself, "Let them see what we can build in secret." The council's chambers were silent at first, but the stillness was deceptive. Deep within the strategic core, sensors had detected something unusual, a faint distortion in the energy signatures above Terra Prime. The scanners were precise, calibrated to catch even the subtlest deviations from expected civilian energy use. And yet, the anomaly was subtle, almost playful, like a child hiding a spark beneath their sleeve. Counselor Vena leaned over the display, fingers tracing the glowing lines of telemetry. These readings. They shouldn't exist, he muttered, voice tight with disbelief. All human weapons were dismantled, every system deactivated, every blueprint destroyed. And yet his eyes flicked to his assistants, who hesitated under his gaze. And yet something is active, something alive. The room vibrated with tension, a nervous energy that belied the council's decades of confidence. Marcus Varon and his team, far below in the hidden tunnels, did not know they had been noticed it. The Solar Whisper had pulsed once, a small, calculated test of the array's synchronization. Nothing that could be traced to a weapon. Yet the humans had built more than a machine. They had built intention, ingenuity, a network of purpose that defied observation. In the tunnels, Marcus stood over the main console, watching the real-time feedback from the orbital array. The first pulse had been minor, barely a whisper of energy, but the reaction of the sensors above was already visible. "They're looking," Marcus said quietly, eyes narrowing. "The council is awake to something, but not to what we are building. Not yet." Jalen's hands trembled over the console. How? How did they notice? Marcus shook his head. "They're good, yes, but humans. Humans are better. They can hide brilliance where machines cannot see it. They can move in the spaces between lines of code, between laws and surveillance, where only courage can follow." He tapped a sequence that illuminated the hidden power conduits. "Every path we've taken is invisible. Every calculation, deliberate. This is what it means to survive. Above, the council convened an emergency session. Their confidence was fraying, replaced by unease. "The readings are inconsistent," said another counselor, his voice tight. "We cannot determine origin, yet the energy pulses match no known system in the solar sector." Vena's eyes hardened. "Then it is human," he said. The word landed like a hammer. "They have not obeyed. They have not dismantled. They have hidden something. And we will find it." Back in the tunnels, Marcus activated a series of secondary conduits. The solar whisper responded instantly, a subtle resonance traveling along the orbital grid. He could feel it, as if the array were aware of the council's gaze, aware of the danger, aware of the stakes. His heart thudded with a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Humanity had always survived by outthinking stronger opponents. The council, confident in their omnipotence, had overlooked one thing: the human mind. Tempered by hardship, refuses to be caged. Jalen's gaze shifted to Marcus, awe and anxiety mixing in his expression. "If they discover it—" Marcus interrupted, voice calm, measured, yet carrying the weight of certainty. "They won't. Not yet. This isn't just about hiding technology, it's about hiding the truth of what humans can do. And the truth cannot be measured, cannot be quantified, cannot be censored. Outside the tunnels, the city carried on its pretense of obedience." The council's drones scoured the spires, yet the humans below moved with the quiet confidence of creators, their eyes filled with purpose. Marcus observed them, each figure a testament to ingenuity and resolve. He felt a small, unspoken acknowledgement of something larger, presence guiding improbable outcomes, a subtle hand ensuring the survival of those who dared. As the hours dragged, the tension in the hidden lab became a rhythm of its own. Engineers whispered calculations, shifted conduits, checked redundancies. Every movement was intentional. Every spark of thought, a rebellion. The solar whisper pulsed again, this time slightly stronger, testing resonance with distant orbital satellites. Marcus noted each fluctuation. "We are alive. We are awake. And we are ready." And then it came, a faint anomaly in the tunnel's outer sensors. It's not the council itself, but their agents, probing beneath the city with stealth drones, searching for any sign of human contraband or unregistered technology. Marcus's lips curled slightly in a smile. "Patience," he murmured. "The first probe, the first test. Let them learn how humans prepare for the impossible." Jalen's voice was barely audible. Do we fight them if they find us?" Marcus shook his head slowly, voice low, almost a whisper. "Not yet. Fight is only the final act. Now, we survive through ingenuity. We hide, we plan, we prepare, and when the time comes, we will show them the cost of underestimating humanity." He leaned back, eyes scanning the network of holographic arrays. The solar whisper shimmered faintly, energy lines converging like veins of light across the orbital grid. It was silent, subtle, lethal in potential. And Marcus knew this. No council, no law, no edict could anticipate the creativity of a species that had survived extinction, alien conquest, and cosmic indifference. Somewhere above, the stars blinked, as if in acknowledgement, their light touching Terra Prime for the briefest moment. Marcus allowed himself a private thought. "Not luck," he whispered. "Someone wanted us to live. Someone wanted ingenuity to thrive." He did not speak the word God aloud, but it lingered in the quiet, in the pulse of the machine, in the improbable alignment of systems. The first probe passed, leaving only subtle traces, a reminder that the council was vigilant but not omnipotent. And in that subtlety lay the promise. Humanity could move, act, and create in ways no overseer could imagine. Marcus turned to his team, every face reflecting determination, anxiety, courage. "Remember this," he said, voice firm and resolute. "Every pulse, every calculation, every hidden corridor is our declaration. The council can ban weapons. They cannot ban thought. They cannot ban defiance. And when they come, we'll be ready." Outside, the city remained calm, oblivious. But in the hidden chambers, human ingenuity pulsed like a heartbeat, steady, determined, impossible to extinguish. And far above, in the silent watch of the stars, the solar whisper resonated again. A whisper, a hum, a promise. Humanity was awake. Humanity was preparing. And somewhere in the shadows of disobedience, Marcus felt the first true thrill of being unseen, knowing that what humanity was about to do, the Council would never anticipate. The subterranean corridors of Terra Prime hummed with quiet purpose. Every bolt tightened, every conduit checked, every calculation verified humanity's survival depended on it. Marcus Varon moved among his team with a predator's calm eyes sharp, senses attuned to the faintest vibration of energy across the tunnels. The solar whisper pulsed subtly, responding to their collective focus, as if aware of the intent behind every command entered. Above, the Council had deployed its first covert probe. A small, sleek drone, invisible to most sensors, slithered through the city's infrastructure, scanning for unregistered energy signatures. It moved like a shadow, precise, relentless. Marcus's monitors flickered, revealing the intrusion. His lips tightened, but there was no Paniconi recognition. Humanity had survived worse, and cleverness was a weapon the Council could never fully grasp. First probe, Marcus muttered to Yalin, his eyes tracing the drone's faint pulse on the display. It's testing us, seeing if we can survive scrutiny. And we will. Yolin swallowed hard. They're close. To close. Marcus did not reply. Instead, he activated a series of secondary energy dampeners. The corridors shifted under his fingers, power lines rerouted, holographic projections masked, every signal carefully blurred. The drone's sensors flickered, unable to distinguish genuine from phantom readings. The Council's first test had already failed without the humans striking a blow. But survival was not enough. Marcus had built more than secrecy. The solar whisper was ready for action, and its potential, though dormant, hummed with anticipation. He could feel the pulse in the orbital arrays, subtle but unmistakable. It was as if the stars themselves responded to human will, bending just slightly to acknowledge ingenuity and courage. A subtle smile crossed Marcus's face. Not luck, he whispered again, not chance. Something's keeping this possible, and if so, we are meant to act. Hours passed, and the drone's interference persisted. Engineers worked under Marcus's direction, creating false energy nodes, shifting patterns, redirecting the probe's attention. Every adjustment was an exercise in creativity, every calculation a quiet rebellion. The solar whisper hummed in agreement, responding to the subtle push and pull of human will. Then came the first true test. From the orbital grid, a minor resonance ripple propagated down the energy channels. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it carried immense potential, a fractional glimpse of the solar whisper's power. Marcus's heart quickened. This was the moment humanity would remember, the first spark of defiance, born not from aggression, but from necessity and intellect. Focus on the core, Marcus instructed, voice firm but quiet. Do not let the Council see. Do not let the probe detect any anomaly beyond controlled randomness. We survive in the shadow, but we prepare in the light. Kellen, overseeing the energy feedback, nodded. His fingers flew across the console, aligning resonance patterns with meticulous precision. It's responding to us, he said softly. It knows what we intend. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Not knows, anticipates. Humans do not merely use tools. We imbue them with purpose, and purpose is more dangerous than any weapon they can ban. Outside, the city remained oblivious, a glittering jewel of calm and a galaxy teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Council sensors scanned diligently, confident, arrogant, but they could not measure courage, creativity, or the spark of defiance. Those were intangible, and in intangibility lay power. Sudden tremor ran through the tunnels, a minor quake, natural by measure, but Marcus paused. He sensed more than the movement. He sensed the alignment, the timing, the improbable coincidence that kept every conduit and support structure intact. As the solar whisper pulsed faintly above, he exhaled slowly. We are not alone in this, he whispered, and that presence ensures survival. The first drone withdrew, frustrated, unable to interpret the shifting signals. The Council's blind spot had been revealed, the human mind. It's unshackled by rules, moving in spaces they could not comprehend. Marcus allowed himself a brief smile. Humanity had passed the first test without confrontation. The solar whisper, although dormant in destructive power, had already proven its ingenuity. Yalin glanced at him, awe mixed with fear. What happens next? Marcus's gaze lifted to the holographic projection of the orbital arrays. Next, he said, voice low, reverent. Next we continue to build, we continue to hide. And when the time comes, we will show the universe that human will, our ingenuity, courage, and unity is the most formidable force of all. Kellen spoke up hesitantly. Do you really think we can do it? The Council, they're relentless. And what if the colonies are attacked before we're ready? Marcus's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Then we will do what humans have always done. Survive, adapt, and strike with brilliance. Not recklessly, not blindly, but with creativity, courage, and precision. That is our power. That is what makes humanity unstoppable. A faint hum rose through the tunnel, the solar whisper responding to Marcus's thought. The engineers focused labor, and perhaps to something beyond comprehension, quiet, unseen intelligence, ensuring that courage and ingenuity remained possible. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. A divine whisper in the rhythm of survival, a silent acknowledgement that the smallest spark of defiance could ignite the stars. Marcus turned to his team, every face reflecting determination, tension, and unwavering focus. Remember this, he said, voice steady. This is our moment in the shadows. Every calculation, every hidden corridor, every pulse of the solar whisper is a testament. We are not bound by their rules. We are bound only by our resolve, and that resolve will outlast them all. Above the city, beyond the Council's perception, the first true pulse of the solar whisper flickered faintly, unnoticed but immense in potential. It was a subtle warning and a promise. Humanity was awake. Humanity was preparing. And when the Council came, they would not understand what had been hidden in plain sight. Somewhere, as the first pulse resonated silently across the orbital array. Marcus allowed himself a thought. No, Counselor could know. The humans who were underestimated were already writing the rules of the next. The subterranean corridors of Terra Prime hummed with quiet purpose. Every bolt tightened, every conduit checked, every calculation verified humanity's survival depended on it. Marcus Varon moved among his team with a predator's calm eyes sharp, senses attuned to the faintest vibration of energy across the tunnels. The solar whisper pulsed subtly, responding to their collective focus, as if aware of the intent behind every command entered. Above, the Council had deployed its first covert probe, a small, sleek drone, invisible to most sensors, slithered through the city's infrastructure, scanning for unregistered energy signatures. It moved like a shadow, precise, relentless. Marcus's monitors flickered, revealing the intrusion. His lips tightened, but there was no Paniconi recognition. Humanity had survived worse, and cleverness was a weapon the Council could never fully grasp. First probe, Marcus muttered to Yalin, his eyes tracing the drone's faint pulse on the display. It's testing us, seeing if we can survive scrutiny. And we will. Yolin swallowed hard. They're close. To close. Marcus did not reply. Instead, he activated a series of secondary energy dampeners. The corridors shifted under his fingers, power lines rerouted, holographic projections masked, every signal carefully blurred. The drone's sensors flickered, unable to distinguish genuine from phantom readings. The Council's first test had already failed without the humans striking a blow. But survival was not enough. Marcus had built more than secrecy. The solar whisper was ready for action, and its potential, though dormant, hummed with anticipation. He could feel the pulse in the orbital arrays, subtle but unmistakable. It was as if the stars themselves responded to human will, bending just slightly to acknowledge ingenuity and courage. A subtle smile crossed Marcus's face. Not luck, he whispered again, not chance. Something's keeping this possible, and if so, we are meant to act. Hours passed, and the drone's interference persisted. Engineers worked under Marcus's direction, creating false energy nodes, shifting patterns, redirecting the probe's attention. Every adjustment was an exercise in creativity, every calculation a quiet rebellion. The solar whisper hummed in agreement, responding to the subtle push and pull of human will. Then came the first true test. From the orbital grid, a minor resonance ripple propagated down the energy channels. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it carried immense potential, a fractional glimpse of the Solar Whisper's power. Marcus's heart quickened. This was the moment humanity would remember, the first spark of defiance, born not from aggression, but from necessity and intellect. Focus on the core, Marcus instructed, voice firm but quiet. Do not let the council see. Do not let the probe detect any anomaly beyond controlled randomness. We survive in the shadow, but we prepare in the light. Kellen, overseeing the energy feedback, nodded. His fingers flew across the console, aligning resonance patterns with meticulous precision. It's responding to us, he said softly. It knows what we intend. Marcus's eyes narrowed. Not knows, anticipates. Humans do not merely use tools. We imbue them with purpose, and purpose is more dangerous than any weapon they can ban. Outside, the city remained oblivious, a glittering jewel of calm and a galaxy teetering on the edge of uncertainty. Council sensors scanned diligently, confident, arrogant, but they could not measure courage, creativity, or the spark of defiance. Those were intangible, and in intangibility lay power. Sudden tremor ran through the tunnels, a minor quake, natural by measure, but Marcus paused. He sensed more than the movement. He sensed the alignment, the timing, the improbable coincidence that kept every conduit and support structure intact. As the Solar Whisper pulsed faintly above, he exhaled slowly. We are not alone in this, he whispered, and that presence assures survival. The first drone withdrew, frustrated, unable to interpret the shifting signals. The Council's blind spot had been revealed, the human mind. It's unshackled by rules, moving in spaces they could not comprehend. Marcus allowed himself a brief smile. Humanity had passed the first test without confrontation. The Solar Whisper, although dormant in destructive power, had already proven its ingenuity. Yalin glanced at him, awe mixed with fear. What happens next? Marcus's gaze lifted to the holographic projection of the orbital arrays. Next, he said, voice low, reverent. Next, we continue to build, we continue to hide. And when the time comes, we will show the universe that human will, our ingenuity, courage, and unity is the most formidable force of all. Kellen spoke up hesitantly. Do you really think we can do it? The Council, they're relentless. And what if the colonies are attacked before we're ready? Marcus's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Then we will do what humans have always done. Survive, adapt, and strike with brilliance. Not recklessly, not blindly, but with creativity, courage, and precision. That is our power. That is what makes humanity unstoppable. A faint hum rose through the tunnel, the Solar Whisper responding to Marcus's thought. The engineers focused labor, and perhaps to something beyond comprehension, quiet, unseen intelligence, ensuring that courage and ingenuity remained possible. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet undeniable. A divine whisper in the rhythm of survival, a silent acknowledgement that the smallest spark of defiance could ignite the stars. Marcus turned to his team, every face reflecting determination, tension, and unwavering focus. Remember this, he said, voice steady. This is our moment in the shadows. Every calculation, every hidden corridor, every pulse of the Solar Whisper is a testament. We are not bound by their rules. We are bound only by our resolve, and that resolve will outlast them all. Above the city, beyond the Council's perception, the first true pulse of the Solar Whisper flickered faintly, unnoticed but immense in potential. It was a subtle warning and a promise. Humanity was awake. Humanity was preparing. And when the Council came, they would not understand what had been hidden in plain sight. Somewhere, as the first pulse resonated silently across the orbital array. Marcus allowed himself a thought. No, Counselor could know. The humans who were underestimated were already writing the rules of the next. The stars above Terra Prime were calm, cold, and indifferent. From orbit, they appeared as points of light, timeless witnesses to human persistence, creation, and folly. Marcus Veron stared at them from the hidden observation deck, the faint reflection of orbital arrays flickering across his eyes. He had always believed that the universe was impartial. It cared neither for victory nor defeat, only for action and consequence. Yet, in the quiet resonance of the Solar Whisper, he sensed something more. A subtle intelligence, a hand guiding improbable survival. Marcus, Jalen's voice broke the stillness. You should see this. On the holographic display, the first real trace of an alien incursion appeared. Not the fleets that had been theoretical nightmares in military simulations, but a scout flotilla, small, sharp, and precise, gliding toward the outer colonies with a purpose that reeked of predation. The Solar Whisper's sensors registered the ships faintly, the orbital energy rippling in subtle acknowledgement. They're coming, Marcus said, voice calm but charged, and they don't know what waits for them. The Council, observing from the spires of Terra Prime, was now fully awake to the anomaly. Their sensors had detected the same scout ships. Confident in the superiority of their bureaucratic control, they prepared directives. Human colonies were to be monitored, restricted, and if necessary, disarmed by fleet oversight. What they could not see was the hidden network beneath Terra Prime, the Solar Whisper. Ready, alive, humming with potential, and invisible to all but the most attuned observers. Marcus walked the length of the observation deck, eyes tracing the holographic lines of orbital energy. The engineers around him worked with quiet urgency, recalibrating arrays, fine-tuning resonance, lining the orbital conduits with precision that verged on artistry. Each adjustment was more than engineering. It was strategy, morality, and faith rolled into one. Do you think we're ready? Yalan asked, voice barely above a whisper. Marcus's lips pressed into a thin line. Ready? He echoed, turning to face the young engineer. Yolan, we're always ready. But readiness isn't about equipment or plans. It's about courage, ingenuity. The ability to act when everything says you shouldn't. That's what the Council will never understand. That's why humans survive. Outside, the scout ships drifted toward the colonies, silent predators in the void. Marcus allowed himself a brief glance at the stars. Somewhere in the rhythm of light and time, he felt that familiar, subtle presence again. Not miraculous, not intrusive, just a gentle affirmation. Someone, he whispered, wants us to endure.
Oh.
Someone wants us to try.
Hey.
Someone wants ingenuity to win. The engineers were tense, aware of the gravity, but focused. Every minor adjustment to the Solar Whisper caused ripples of energy to course through orbital conduits. Marcus noted each pulse. Each was a silent message. The array was alive, not merely as a weapon, but as a reflection of human will, human calculation, human courage. Then the first test came. The alien scout vessels altered trajectory unexpectedly, apparently detecting the faint energy signature from the orbital array. Marcus observed their movements, calculating. It was subtle, but unmistakable. They were wary. The Council could not predict the Solar Whisper's influence. They could not calculate the effect of human ingenuity on alien cognition. Look at them, Marcus said quietly. See something they do not understand, and they fear it without knowing why. Jalen's breath caught. So, we've already influenced them. Marcus's eyes gleamed with quiet pride. We are not firing a shot yet, but influence. That is the essence of human strength. We do not rely solely on firepower. We rely on wit, creativity, courage, the very things no council can legislate or monitor. And in that, we are invincible. Outside, the first faint pulse of the Solar Whisper traced a line through the orbital array. Invisible to the Council's instruments, but unmistakable in its effect. The scout flotilla hesitated, their path subtly altered, their approach tempered by signals they could not interpret. Humanity had acted without aggression, but with undeniable authority. Marcus allowed himself a breath, letting the tension in his shoulders ease slightly. Yet his mind remained alert. The true confrontation had not yet come. The scouts were only the first ripple of an invasion that could span systems. But for the first time, Marcus and his team knew the scale of their power. The Solar Whisper was no longer dormant. It was responsive, it's intelligent in its own way, and attuned to human purpose. Somewhere in the tunnels, an engineer muttered softly, almost to himself, "Not luck."
Ah!
Someone wanted us to survive this. Marcus caught the words and smiled quietly. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but the presence they all felt divine, guiding, patient, was real. It was not the flash of miracles, but the quiet intelligence of survival. Woven through every pulse of energy, every human calculation, every heartbeat in the tunnels. Yulin turned to Marcus, eyes wide. If this works, if the council can't see it, if the aliens... Marcus cut him off, hand raised. Then they will learn a truth too late. Humans cannot be caged by law, by fear, or by expectation. We survive because we create, because we act, because we refuse to be constrained. That is the solar whisper. That is humanity. And that will never be taken from us. The scout ships shifted again, their sensors flaring faintly in confusion. Council screens registered only minor anomalies, leaving them confident, unaware that the first true act of human defiance had already occurred. Marcus watched, quiet but vigilant, knowing the real test, the first confrontation, was yet to come. The engineers, inspired and tense, continued their work. The solar whisper pulsed with subtle resonance, its energy lines weaving a tapestry of potential destruction and creativity. Marcus felt the quiet thrill of possibility. In a few hours, in a few precise maneuvers, humanity would take its first step into a confrontation that would define the next century. And somewhere high above, the first star blinked with a faint, almost imperceptible acknowledgement of human courage. Marcus allowed himself a private thought. Not luck, he said quietly. Someone wants us to rise. Someone wants human ingenuity to be seen. And we will not disappoint. And in the quiet pulse of the solar whisper, Marcus realized something both terrifying and exhilarating. The council's oversight was only the beginning, and humanity's true test was only just a... The outer colonies had always been humanity's first line of resilience's scattering of mining stations, out orbital habitats and terraformed planets on the edge of known space. They were isolated, resourceful, and largely self-governed. Yet today, they would face a threat unlike any in recent memory. Marcus Veron observed the colony networks from the hidden command center beneath Terra Prime. Holographic displays projected streams of incoming data, orbital anomalies, sudden energy readings, and the faintest tremors in planetary shields. Yulin hovered beside him, scanning the projections with a mixture of awe and dread. They're moving faster than predicted, Yulin said. The fleet, it's massive. It's not just scouts. They're converging. Marcus nodded, lips pressed into a thin line. We've trained for observation, prediction, and preparation. But now it begins the first confrontation of human ingenuity against the unknown. They will not see us coming. Above the colonies, alien vessels sliced through the void like predators. Their angular designs betrayed no emotion, no hesitation, only purpose. Marcus studied their formation, noting subtle variances that suggested coordination but also rigidity. Alien strategy, he thought, often relied on repetition and predictable efficiency. Humanity thrived in improvisation, in the unexpected, in the space between rules. That was their strength. Marcus, Yulin said, voice trembling the council. They have no idea what we've prepared. Should we alert them? Marcus shook his head. No. They will interfere if they see this. And interference will compromise everything. Our work, our hidden advantage, our ingenuity, it must remain unseen. Sometimes, survival requires patience more than action. The solar whisper's energy lines pulsed faintly on the monitors, responding to Marcus's focus and the engineer's quiet coordination. The orbital array was not yet armed, but it was awake, alive, and attuned to human intent. Every fluctuation in power, every subtle resonance, carried the weight of human creativity and intelligence that surpassed mere mechanics. In the colonies, communication arrays buzzed with confusion and alarm. Planetary defenses attempted to track the incoming fleet, but the alien ships moved with such precision that standard sensors failed to register their true threat. Small human outposts scrambled for clarity, their signals fragmented across vast interstellar distances. Marcus's team monitored the chaos without intervention. Their task was preparation, observation, and timing. The first strike had to be exact. Hours stretched, tension thickening the air in the hidden tunnels beneath Terra Prime. Engineers whispered calculations, realigning orbital pathways, adjusting energy harmonics, and maintaining perfect concealment. Every movement was deliberate, precise, and imbued with the knowledge that the lives of thousands, perhaps millions, rested on unseen strings of human ingenuity. A faint hum rose from the solar whisper. Marcus felt it through the floor, through the conduits, through the monitors. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, yet it carried immense potential, a heartbeat of latent power waiting for human command. He closed his eyes briefly, sensing the quiet presence that had guided them before. Not luck, not chance. Something deliberate, something gentle, but insistent, ensuring survival and preparation. "The colonies," Marcus said quietly, voice resonant in the tense silence. "They will test us first. The aliens are confident. They think they understand human defenses. But they cannot anticipate ingenuity. They cannot predict courage. They do not understand resolve." Jalen's eyes were wide. "If they reach the main settlements, if they—" Marcus raised a hand. "Then we act. And when we act, it will be decisive. Not because we outgun them, but because we outthink them. Humanity's strength is not in weapons alone. It is in will, in creativity, in courage. And that will not fail." The first alien ships entered the outer system's gravitational threshold. Sensors on remote colonies flickered with the faint energy ripple of the solar whisper. Marcus noted it, eyes scanning the holographic display. Even minor resonances in the array caused disruptions in the alien sensor field, tiny, nearly undetectable, but enough to give humans the edge of unpredictability. A young engineer named Soren spoke up, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's like they're reacting, not to us, but to the solar whisper itself." Marcus nodded slowly. "Exactly. The array is more than a machine. It's attuned to purpose, to intention, and human intention. Yes. Is the most unpredictable force in the galaxy." He turned to the team, his gaze firm and unwavering. "Remember this? The Council underestimates us. The aliens think they can control the outcome, but neither understands that ingenuity, courage, and resolve are not bound by law, by numbers, or by expectation. And that will define the coming hours." The colonies trembled beneath the first faint flashes of alien fire. Defensive systems flared, responding as designed, but not fast enough. Marcus observed, calculating, noting patterns, adjusting the solar whisper's latent energy harmonics. Every subtle change in resonance, every micro-adjustment, was a prelude to the decisive action humanity would soon unleash. Above, the Council watched, unaware of the depth and precision of human preparation. The aliens, confident in their numerical superiority, had yet to encounter the true brilliance of Terra Prime's hidden ingenuity. Marcus allowed himself a moment of quiet pride. Humanity had survived millennia of extinction events, alien invasions, and cosmic indifference. And now, even in the face of an overwhelming fleet, they would survive again, not by law, not by order, but by will, creativity, and courage. And somewhere in the silent, infinite expanse above, the solar whisper pulsed faintly. The stars themselves seemed to lean closer, acknowledging the courage, the ingenuity, and the subtle defiance of a species that refused to be conquered. And as the first alien shots fell on the outer colonies, Marcus whispered under his breath, "Let them see what humans can do when we are underestimated." The void above the outer colonies shimmered with silent menace. Alien ships glided through the darkness, angular, precise, and utterly devoid of hesitation. Their weapons flared intermittently, streaks of energy arcing toward planetary defenses. Marcus Veron watched the holographic projection of the battle from the hidden command center beneath Terra Prime. His eyes narrow, mind calculating. "This is it," he said quietly. "The first real test. It's not for the aliens, not for the Council. For us." Yalin stood beside him, tense and wide-eyed. "Are we ready?" Marcus didn't answer immediately. He watched the orbital array on the display, faint pulses of light dancing along the solar whisper's conduits. The energy was alive, responsive, intelligent in its own subtle way. Every pulse carried intent, human intent. Every adjustment amplified the resonance. Humanity had not merely built a weapon. They had created a reflection of willpower, ingenuity, and courage. He turned to the engineers, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of holographic controls. "Activate the partial array," Marcus commanded. "Not full power yet, just a test of precision. We hit only what we need to influence their trajectory." Kellen's fingers flew across the console. Energy rippled through the orbital grid, cascading like liquid light across the conduits. The solar whisper responded instantly, a faint hum vibrating through the tunnels. The engineers felt it, not just as mechanical feedback, but as an almost living presence. It was subtle, nearly imperceptible, yet unmistakably a partnership between human ingenuity and something greater, something unseen. The alien ships faltered. Their sensors, calibrated for predictable human defenses, detected the slightest anomalies. Paths shifted, formation tightened, hesitation flickered in their approach. Marcus allowed himself a small, private smile. Not firepower, he murmured. Ingenuity, courage, imagination. That is how humans survive. In the colonies, orbital defense systems blinked erratically. Screens flared as automated turrets attempted to track alien positions. Nothing matched the subtle influence of the solar whisper. Human observers were stunned. Ships that seemed invincible were suddenly off balance, reacting in ways that defied logic. Jalen's voice trembled with awe. It's moving them, without even firing a shot. Marcus's gaze was unwavering, eyes reflecting the faint pulses from the holographic display. Yes, without firing a shot, they think they are in control. They think numbers and technology will prevail. But they cannot calculate human ingenuity. They cannot anticipate willpower. They cannot measure courage. A distant alarm echoed in the tunnels, not a malfunction, but a minor anomaly in the array a ripple Marcus had anticipated. He smiled faintly. Good, he said. Even the smallest imperfections remind us this is real. Humanity, imperfect and brilliant, is alive in every pulse. Kellen adjusted the conduits, refining the energy streams. The solar whisper responded with subtle brilliance, redirecting energy not for destruction but for influence, nudging alien sensors, diverting trajectories, creating micro-disruptions that made the enemy hesitate. Humanity did not strike yet, but the message was clear. They were awake, aware, and capable of orchestrating the impossible. The alien flotilla, confident moments ago, began to scatter slightly, adjusting formations, recalibrating sensors. Every micro-adjustment was influenced by the solar whisper, controlled indirectly by Marcus and his team. The humans had taken the first step, not through firepower, but through precision, creativity, and the courage to act when everything said they should remain hidden. Yolan shook his head in disbelief. It's incredible. They don't even know what's happening. It's like the universe itself is favoring us. Marcus didn't reply. He simply observed, aware of the subtle presence that had guided them before. Not overtly miraculous, but undeniably, there a quiet intelligence that ensured survival, that amplified courage, that allowed ingenuity to flourish. Humanity had been underestimated, but now, in this silent resonance, they began to reveal their true power. Outside, the colonies trembled under the faint, almost imperceptible influence of the solar whisper. Systems recalibrated automatically. Alien attacks deflected subtly without human intervention on the surface. Observers and council monitors alike recorded anomalies they could not explain. Humanity had survived the first strike, not with weapons alone, but with the ingenuity, courage, and subtle defiance that defined their species. Marcus turned to his team, voice low but resolute. Remember this moment. The first pulse is always subtle. The first display of ingenuity is often invisible. But it will resonate. They will feel it, and they will remember it. Humanity cannot be caged. The orbital array pulsed again, faintly, invisibly, yet decisively. The first alien ships altered course subtly, their approach unbalanced, their confidence shaken. The solar whisper had awakened not in firepower, but in effect. And humanity had proven that the smallest spark of defiance, guided by creativity and courage, could ripple across the void. Somewhere in the quiet infinity above, stars themselves seemed to acknowledge the achievement, a blink of light, a whisper of motion, subtle and fleeting, but undeniable. Marcus allowed himself a brief thought. Not luck, not chance. Someone wants ingenuity to thrive. Someone wants humans to survive. And we will not disappoint. The colonies, still unaware of the full scale of the array, began their first cautious maneuvers, inspired by the subtle shifts in alien behavior. Humanity's courage was already writing the rules of engagement. Marcus, standing before the monitors, felt the weight and exhilaration of what they had begun. the first true demonstration of human defiance in the shadow of impossible odds. And somewhere, in the orbital silence, Marcus realized the most dangerous weapon was not the solar whisper itself, but the humans who had dared to build it. The void erupted in sudden chaos. Alien warships, previously measured and precise, now accelerated toward the outer colonies in coordinated aggression. Energy streaks lanced through space, targeting orbital defenses and planetary shields with terrifying efficiency. Marcus Veron watched from the hidden command center, the holographic displays reflecting the flash of attacks across his face. "This is it," he said quietly. "The first real battle. Not yet with weapons, but with influence, with ingenuity. Humanity shows itself in the gap between fear and action." Jalen's hands trembled over the controls. "They're hitting harder than predicted. Shields are faltering." Marcus nodded. "Good. Imperfect resistance reveals the path to precision. The solar whisper will respond, not blindly, but exactly where it needs to. Remember, our power is in subtlety, in creativity, in timing, and timing. It's everything." The engineers worked furiously, recalibrating orbital conduits, rerouting energy flows, adjusting the resonance of the solar whisper. Each pulse, each flicker of light was intentional, a silent orchestration of influence that reached into the alien fleet. Not a single human life had yet been endangered, yet the battle's first echoes rippled through the cosmos. Outside, alien ships faltered. Minor misalignments appeared in formations, as if an invisible hand nudged them toward inefficiency. Energy weapons discharged slightly off target, engines jittered unexpectedly. The solar whisper was awake, its intelligence subtle but undeniable, manipulating outcomes without direct confrontation. Marcus's eyes gleamed with quiet intensity. "Do you see it?" he asked Kellen, voice low. "They do not know what strikes them. They think they control the battle, but every hesitation, every misfire is ours. Human ingenuity, alive and unshackled." Yulan leaned closer. "It's terrifyingly beautiful. It's like the universe itself bends to our purpose." Marcus allowed a faint smile. "Not the universe. Someone beyond understanding. Someone who ensures that ingenuity survives. We act, we create, we save lives. And in that, divinity is present. Not forced, not preached, but undeniable." In the colonies, orbital defenses stabilized in response to the subtle shifts. Engineers and soldiers marveled at minor anomalous ships that had seemed unstoppable, veered unexpectedly, giving humans the advantage of reaction. Civilian populations, unaware of the hidden hand guiding the solar whisper, scrambled to safety. Aided indirectly by the subtle manipulations of the array, a warning flashed across the main console, a massive energy beam approaching one of the largest colonies. Marcus leaned forward, calculating in seconds the array's response. Divert auxiliary conduits, amplify resonance in microbursts, just enough to influence trajectory. The solar whisper pulsed with deliberate precision. The alien beam faltered, missing its target by mere kilometers. A catastrophic miss turned into an improbable survival. Marcus exhaled slowly. Perception is everything. Influence is power. Courage is the weapon they cannot understand. Jalen's voice was barely audible. "We're actually doing it. They can't touch the colonies." "Not yet." Marcus shook his head, eyes locked on the holographic displays. "Not yet. The real challenge is coming." But this is proof. Proof that humans survive through ingenuity, through courage, through the will to act when all seems lost. That is HFY. That is humanity at its finest. The alien fleet adjusted, sending new waves of ships, attempting to recalibrate against the unseen manipulations. The solar whisper responded with subtle, almost imperceptible shifts, bending trajectories, altering sensor readings, and creating micro-disruptions that allowed humans to anticipate attacks before they occurred. Each pulse of the array was a lesson in precision. Every adjustment, a testament to creativity and courage. In the hidden command center, Marcus's team worked with synchronized intensity. Each engineer's hand, each calculation, each observation contributed to a larger choreography of survival. No alarms blared, No panic overtook the tunnels, only purpose, focus, and the quiet thrill of knowing that humanity, underestimated and watched, was alive, clever, and defiant. And somewhere, in the infinite silence of space, the stars themselves seemed to shimmer faintly, acknowledging the defiance, the courage, and the brilliance of humans refusing to be crushed under overwhelming odds. Marcus allowed himself a private thought. Not luck. Someone intended this. Someone wanted ingenuity to flourish, and we will not fail. The solar whisper pulsed again, stronger this time, resonating across orbital conduits and brushing the alien fleet like a whispering current. Ships wavered, misfired, hesitated. Human ingenuity had manifested as a silent, invisible shield. The first strike had been survived, but the battle was far from over. What? Marcus turned to his team, eyes blazing. Remember this. Today we protect not just lives, but proof. Humans cannot be caged by law, by numbers, or by expectation. Our defiance is our strength, our courage is our weapon, and our ingenuity will define the course of history. The alien fleet faltered again, sensing an invisible adversary. The council remained blind, confident in their oversight. But Marcus and his team knew the truth. Humanity had awakened, subtle yet undeniable, precise yet unstoppable. And when the moment came, the solar whisper would unleash its full potential, not as a weapon of destruction, but as a testament to human defiance and brilliance. Rehook. And as the first alien ships broke formation under the unseen influence, Marcus whispered, "They think they know what's coming, but they've never faced a human mind unleashed." The void above the colonies burned with silent tension. Alien ships, once precise and confident, now faltered in unpredictable patterns, nudged by the subtle manipulations of the solar whisper. Marcus Veron stood at the center of the hidden command deck beneath Terra Prime, eyes fixed on the holographic displays. Every pulse of the array, every ripple of energy, was a heartbeat of human will, a manifestation of courage, ingenuity, and defiance. "This is it," Marcus said, voice low, resonant with purpose. "The moment we prove that humans are not defined by their weapons alone, but by their creativity, their courage, their relentless will." Jalen's hands hovered over the controls, trembling with anticipation. "Are we really ready for full activation?" Marcus met his gaze, calm but unwavering. "We've been ready since the first pulse. The solar whisper is alive. It responds to our intent. It knows precision, subtlety, and purpose. We do not strike blindly, we orchestrate. Humanity always acts with thought, courage, and vision." The engineers synchronized the final adjustments. The orbital conduits pulsed with luminous intensity, energy cascading through the array like liquid light. The solar whisper was no longer dormant. It hummed with conscious responsiveness, aligned with the human mind. Every flicker, every modulation, resonated with purpose. Above, alien vessels hesitated, unsure. Sensing something beyond comprehension, an invisible intelligence guiding every outcome, disrupting their calculations. And then Marcus gave the command. "Full activation," he said. Now, the solar whisper roared to life. Light flared across orbital conduits, arcs of energy tracing intricate geometric patterns invisible to the naked eye. The fleet of alien invaders shuddered as unseen forces interfered with their sensors, propulsion systems and weapons targeting arrays. Their movements became erratic, faltering under invisible pressures, every calculation corrupted by human ingenuity. A massive energy pulse surged from the solar whisper, harnessing the latent power of the stars themselves. The beam struck the alien flotilla in synchronized precision, obliterating the nearest ships instantly. Vaporized matter and disintegrating holes streaked across the void, the sheer scale of destruction both terrifying and uninspiring. Marcus watched, voice steady but awe-filled. "This is not mere destruction. This is ingenuity made manifest. The solar whisper obeys human purpose, not chaos. And purpose is stronger than fear." Jalen's eyes were wide, reflecting the brilliance of the array. They're gone. Entire formations. Vaporized, shoulders relaxing for the first time in hours. "Yes, but remember, this is not the victory of firepower alone. It is the triumph of will, of creativity, of courage. The Council may have thought they could contain humanity, but you cannot cage ingenuity. In the colonies below, survivors gazed skyward at the faint afterglow of the obliterated alien fleet. Their relief was visceral, tangible, yet tempered by awe. Humanity had survived through brilliance, not sheer numbers. They had endured because of courage and cleverness, because of the unseen hand of a subtle, guiding presence, ensuring that ingenuity and will could thrive. Marcus allowed himself a private thought, quiet and reverent. Not luck, not chance. Someone wanted this to succeed. Someone wanted humanity to endure, and we delivered. The solar whisper hummed softly now, its energy stabilizing, its purpose fulfilled yet always alive, a silent testament to what humans could achieve when underestimated. Engineers and commanders in the hidden tunnels shared quiet smiles and exhausted laughter, their relief interwoven with pride. Humanity had faced impossible odds and prevailed, not through violence alone, but through brilliance, courage, and unity. Marcus turned to his team, voice resolute and inspiring. Today, we have shown the galaxy what humans are capable of. It's not merely surviving, but defining the rules when all others thought the game was theirs. That is HFY. That is humanity. That is our will made real. Above, the stars twinkled, timeless witnesses to the triumph of human ingenuity. Somewhere subtle, yet undeniable, a quiet presence, the intelligence that guides, that protects, that fosters, courage, acknowledged the act. Humanity had not only survived, they had risen.
Odd.
And as Marcus looked out at the calm void, reflecting on the solar whisper's luminous arcs, he whispered almost to himself. They thought they could ban us, control us, predict us. But they forgot one thing. Humanity cannot be caged. Humanity cannot be contained. And when we build in secret, guided by courage and purpose, we are unstoppable. The galaxy trembled not under alien weapons, but under the realization of what humans could achieve when brilliance met defiance. Worlds would remember, civilizations would watch, and somewhere, across the infinite expanse, the first faint recognition of human ingenuity shone in every surviving mind. Life. Will and courage could never be fully